Okay, so it's time to get this started. I'm not doing this as planned because so many problems. And I'm not going through that script again. I wrote it, I edited it, I've read it twice, I'm not doing it again. So I'm ad-libbing what little I remember of it. What happens, happens. And because all this pain is to make me feel rather masochistic, I'm going to be using one of these grip strength things, because heaven knows I need to build up some kind of physical strength. So, okay, I believe I started with the intro, which makes sense if you think about it. I started with something along the lines of, I didn't grow up with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2002 game. My mum thought that Birth of the Goblin scene was a little too scary for me, and in fairness, she was right. I saw that once, and I'm pretty sure I was fucking terrified. But so I never have that nostalgic attachment to the movies. I do have a nostalgic attachment to the game. What did I say next? Attachment to the game. Yeah, I grew up playing the game though, alongside games like The Wind Waker. I had a list of these games: The Wind Waker, Spyro, the PS1 Spider-Man 2000 game, Pokemon, mostly Gen 3, and Link's Awakening DX. And like all of those games, I played Spider-Man 2002 with cheats. I also played those games, where possible, on easy mode or the equivalent kid mode, because I was a cheating little shit kid. In fairness, I was also an undiagnosed dyspraxic little shit kid, but whatever. Playing those games on easy or kid mode with a ton of cheats was pretty much my entire childhood. I don't remember anything else about the 4-minute opening I wrote. I just remembered a bit of the intro. This was not the best game to start off with, because it's a movie game and you already know the story. I don't think there's that much to talk about. So why did I start with this game? Well, you remember those sleepless little Spider-Man games that came out within the last 5 or 6 years, depending on when I actually get this released. Well, I got pissed off. Not with the games, because they are amazing, but from all the complaints about the web swinging. Because everyone's saying, it's better in Spider-Man 2, because it's physics-based and realistic, and games are supposed to be realistic, apparently. But that pisses me off, because I'm a dyspraxic little shit kid who is really, really... Basically, I love the Spider-Man in the I love the web swinging in the Insomniac Spider-Man games. It's fun, it's fluid, it's exciting, and it's fast. It may guide you a lot, but you can turn that off. And regardless, for someone like me it can take ages to learn new controls and complicated controls because, again, dyspraxic, my brain literally did not develop properly, so it takes me twice as long to learn things. I love the Insomniac spot swinging. So hearing all this complaining about it not being Spider-Man 2 pissed me off, and I thought I'd give it a go. But this is the first game, because I'm also an autistic little shit kid who cannot... there's no way I'm starting with the second game, because I just feel so wrong in my very soul. So, starting off with 1, next video is going to be 2. I was going to skip 3 for a bit, because I don't want to be a Spider-Man channel. There are other people who've done that better, but at this point I want to get the Raimi games out of the way. It's been rough. I wanted to get this out on the 1st of January 2025, and I nearly did it. It wasn't for these fucking sound problems, and then of course having to go back to work. So I'm recording this on the 4th. No idea when it'll be released, hopefully tomorrow. And yeah, was going to say back to trivia, but I can't remember any more trivia. Oh, yeah. There was talks of having Hugh Jackman play Wolverine in this movie, which I earlier put in a section with Shocker, but I'll probably forget that when I get there, so I'm saying it now. Because not following the script. So let's start a bit with development. The game was made in 18 months by, what was it? Treyarch for consoles, LTI Grey Matter for Windows, and for Game Boy Advance, it was Digital Eclipse. I'm shocked I remember those details. I followed up the development. No, I didn't follow up the development. I continued with development with bits of movie trivia because honestly, I wasn't that interested. So there was the trivia that I can't remember the name of the spider, but I will include it here. The goblin suit, which Willem Dafoe insisted on wearing himself, consisted of 580 pieces and took an hour to put on. Although in fairness, I think it's kind of impressive that you could put together a suit that big in only an hour. Do you remember that scene where Spider-Man anonymously kisses MJ after saving her from a group of anonymous men? Well, the infamous sexy scene wasn't so sexy for Maguire because the water kept running down his nose. I made a joke about Spider and the water spout there, but it was terrible, so I'm just going to mention I made it. I also made a pretty bad joke about MJ's terrible outfit during that scene. Like, soaking wet, one layer, you can see her nipples, because nipples make her a strong and complicated female character, because nipples. But, whatever. Kirsten Dunst has commented that she really does not like all the screaming women Sam Raimi likes to put in his movies. And like, I get that. That's so annoying. And again, not exactly good representation. And I'm all for representation. There is literally no harm in representation in media. Anybody who gets a stick up their ass about it is a fucking idiot. I've just remembered another bit of trivia. In the 80s, the rights to a Spider-Man movie was bought by... Do I remember his name? I think I remember his name. Yanham Gohem, and another guy who I don't remember, who thought Spider-Man was a werewolf-type character. And I threw him a joke, imagine The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, but less sexy. But Stan Lee didn't like the idea. So it didn't go any further. But when you think of a movie where the Spider-Man's like red and blue tights but darker, hiding in the shadows, hunting the criminals in like horror movie style, do you think that'd actually be sick? Like, you get all the tension of a horror movie, but he's hunting the bad guys, so you get the release of fuck 'em. Yeah. God, So the game starts off with Spider-Man swinging around New York rooftops, beating up thugs because everyone knows criminal mooks love being on top of rooftops. It's where all the best crimes happen. So you swing around there and either beat up 3 specific groups or a certain number of thugs. I could never figure that out. I say I could never figure that out. I didn't even realize it might be a thing until I was reading a walkthrough to try and get chapter titles. So I went on the walkthrough to take a look. And I saw that, and then I suddenly had to second guess my entire childhood, but whatever. There is a side mission you can do in this, where there's a lady who's on the rooftop for some reason getting attacked by thugs because, I mean, who's going to help her on the roof? You save her, tells you she lost a handbag on another roof because nothing's ever expanded on. That could have been a really cool hint for like a future Spider-Woman, but they didn't do anything with it. And then, yeah, you bring back a handbag, finish the mission. It's like interesting because as you get closer to her, you can hear her screaming, like, "Oh, help me!" Yada yada yada. But the first time I started recording this, which is also the first time this has ever happened, and the only time it's ever happened, because I've recorded that mission multiple times. As soon as the mission's opening dialogue finished, I could hear her screaming.
This is supposed to be the Skull's territory. I'll find Uncle Ben's killer if I have to go through every one of the Skulls to do it.
Someone, anyone, help me! No, no! Don't hurt me. I don't have any money.
And I don't know why. It's never happened before. So that was just a weird anomaly. But basically, okay, Uncle Ben's dead. Spidey's looking for the killer, so he goes to the rooftops because, as I've mentioned, that's the only place to start searching. I did I did write down that it would have been really cool to start off the game with more of a stalking section where you're hunting down Spike, but the mechanics aren't there. So instead, you get this other mission, which, frankly speaking, is actually a really good tutorial for swinging, for fighting, for looking for extras, etc., etc. You learn the location of Spike. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but Spike is the canonical name for Uncle Ben's killer. So, the guy who gives you his direction, this guy in a denim jacket, when the contemporary reviews mentioned the terrible, terrible voice acting, I think they were talking about Toby, because he totally half-assed it. But this guy has to give one of the probably most accurate, if people want realism in their games, this is how people talk.
Go! The guy you want is Spike. He's probably in that whole shipping warehouse. It's right on the river. That's all I know.
And if the game itself didn't point you in the right direction, I'm sure many, many players would have no idea where to go. Man, this is a mess. Doing this from memory is rough. So, mission over. You start the next mission in a warehouse, beating up thugs, more fighting practice. They introduce a stealth section, which I never understood in the slightest. Like, stealth is only good in the later Oscorp levels. I really don't get the point of it in this mission. You fight through the guys, one guy commits suicide trying to run you down, you find a fuse, then on to the next mission where there's a couple of big fights, and then you fight Spike, who's an expert old man killer and spider resistant, which is a really annoying thing about the bosses in this game, where they web yank them, doesn't work. They're running around, you can't properly catch up to them, they attack faster than you, stun locking you, and they don't survive. They are unaffected by your punches a chunk of the time, not all of the time. So you punch them, their super shield will protect them, and then they'll stun lock you, and you're fucked, which is not fun. And completely gets rid of the whole bosses are supposed to be a culmination of your experience and skills up until this point. But hey, the game was made in 18 months. After this, there's a time skip. Pete's left school, he's rooming with Harry. There's a cutscene with Norman Osborn and Dr. What's-His-Name, who they decide Spidey is the key to their super soldier project, which, as I pointed out in the script, is ironic because they've already solved it with him. Can you imagine if they succeeded? And then they were like, wait, this looks familiar. On Spidey's end, there are no crimes happening, so he can't take pictures of himself. So he's having to do some Instagram-style tricks to get pictures to pay the rent. Then some flying green robots come along. You shoot web at them in the sky until you realize that's absolutely useless, and land on a rooftop and just hold the web attack for a few seconds until they die. It's not even a few seconds, it's like half a second, and it's so much better to just land, web. I think the next mission is with Shocker and Vulture. So, there's a cutscene, you see Cullen's jewelry. I inserted a bad Twilight joke here, because glittering gemstones, glittering vampires, yada yada yada. You chase Shocker, you catch Shocker. He sends you off to the Vulture, you chase Vulture, you catch Vulture. Admittedly, the first Vulture mission is actually really cool, where you're scaling a clock tower full of different traps, and if the controls and camera were better, it would have actually been awesome. I think it's at this point, next mission, Scorpion. Actually really good. I love the cutscene. Scorpion's terrified. He's
A few sandwiches short of a picnic.
He's terrified, mumbling, running from his spider bots, which have to be the least effective type of hunter you can imagine. But you protect him from a bunch of robo spiders. He attacks you. And you get this really cool mission in Grand Central Station where, I say mission, it's a boss fight. And it's cool because, again, Scorpion's clearly insane. And he's running around attacking you. But instead of having an actual boss theme, it's playing this really nice, haunting, eerie tune that builds up into something not dramatic, not super energetic, but it just increases the eeriness as you swing around trying not to die. Because again, he tanks your attacks and stun knocks you, etc, etc. I ended up beating him because he got stuck, literally floating him basically midair, and I just impact webbed him until he died. It was awesome. You beat him up, he disappears, which is really cool because there's this whole mystery of why is he there? Like, the Vulture is canonically a genius, so he doesn't need much background. And I was a shocker, especially when he's teamed up with Vulture, who probably made his gear for him. But Scorpion, he was designed to hunt Spider-Man. So the fact he's here and doesn't know the first damn thing about Spider-Man suggests there's something more going on. Then he disappears for the rest of the game, and you get no backstory. And even though I usually like clear answers, like Silent Hill games, they're hard to put together the pieces, but there are pieces there that can be put together for a story. There are other games out there where the appeal is supposed to be that the story is whatever the fans want it to be. But that's so unsatisfying. There's no closure. And yet, in cases like this, where, I mean, Scorpion's not even important to the story. He's just there, and then he's not. And from what I know, and I haven't played the other games yet, he appears again in either Spider-Man 2 or 3. So, I'm looking forward to that. What is it? Yes, it's the next mission where we get Norman's been fired, so he experiments on himself, which is perfectly reasonable. Yeah, it's perfectly reasonable, it's fine. In the movie, this is the other way around, but it doesn't really matter. It's one of those gamified things which it's better to change up the order of the movie than it is to have a ton of cutscenes explaining things out. Because I want to play the game for Goblin's sake, just let me play. So that happens, he flies up, bombs his old friend, explodes his son, which is fine because he's had his one line of a game.
Yeah. I'm just glad you're here.
MJ goes fucking flying onto a panda, which combined with her dress makes the whole thing kind of like weirdly East Asian, but whatever. So yeah, you save her, practice for later. She gives you a peck on the cheek, which I swear is important for later. Then you chase the goblin for a while. He blows a few things up, you fix them, you fight him a bit. That's that. Next mission is it's a kind of a tedious fight because he's flying around with far more maneuverability than you, shooting you from a distance, and Spider-Man's aerial options for combat are weak. You get that done, and time for... I can't decide if it's the worst or second worst mission in the game, but you've got to deactivate a bunch of time bombs with robots with shocking accuracy fly around just massacring you. And I think I had to do this about... I swear it was more than 9 times, but 9 keeps coming to my mind, so I'm just going to say that. And it sucked. The next mission is completely unique to the Xbox. Norman, who's apparently a little tired after committing filicide, and who wouldn't be? So he calls up Kraven the Hunter to hunt. Kraven lights a spider signal. Spidey has to run a really, really bad gauntlet of traps. Really dull. There is this kind of cool moment, which reminds me of the later game, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, where you're seeing Spidey through the scope of Kraven's sniper rifle, and you have to avoid him. It's not as good as Shattered Dimensions, because you have a spider sense and dodge button in that game. But it's not so bad, it's interesting. More interesting in the boss fight with Kraven, because he uses a potion to temporarily turn invincible, which... Why? Why is that ever a thing in games? You beat him. The worst thing about the missions is you get not J.K. Simmons playing J. Jonah Jameson.
Get in here! What are you doing here? Why aren't you down at the zoo getting me pictures of this?
But I just...
Doesn't anyone...
It's a travesty. Can't remember the next mission. I think it might be with the Razorbats. Again, land on a roof, web them up. It's easy. As long as you don't try and do it in midair, then it's a pain in the ass. Yeah. So, Goblin's super illegal tech has the Oscorp logo on it. So, Spidey goes into Oscorp. Has these horrible stealth sections. I mean, I guess they're not bad. It's too many lasers to detect you and stuff like that. And it's tedious. I ended up running through the last bit, I got caught, and I wasn't starting the entire fucking mission again. So, I just ran to the end. Annoying, but it works. And then there's... Yeah, I think I'm going to commit to this being the worst mission in the game. Because Oscorp was making this enormous, bloody mech. And... no. The screen warns you that you get too far away, it will use its crazy laser on you. But you need to destroy 10 shield generators, 4 of which are on the opposite end of the room. There's no way to destroy the generators in time to avoid its big old laser attack. Its laser attack is basically a 2-hit kill, but it knocks you down. By the time you get back up, you're probably beaten, and there's no maneuverability, options, mechanics to protect you, so you'll probably get hit again. You can try impact webbing them from a distance, but the fucking lock-on keeps locking onto the green bots flying around. I think in the end, I destroyed some of them with impact webs, some of them with its own laser, because one really cool thing about this is the mech's own attacks can destroy the shield generators. So quite often, instead of getting smacked about while trying to destroy them, I get nearby, use a web dome, and survive the attack while the shield generator doesn't, and then try and disappear. I think, I have to check the footage for this, but I think I managed to get that, destroy all of them, and then its brain panel comes along and you just punch it until mission over. I have 11 recorded deaths on that. And it was super tedious. Then, yep, there's another stealth section through... No, wait, was this before or after? Yeah, you get a cutscene where Spidey's broken into the Goblin's office, and he's like, oh no, he's going after MJ because she gave me a kiss on the cheek earlier. Because that means... I'm trying to remember the joke I wrote in here. Yes, because a peck of a cheek doesn't mean, oh, thank you, superhero, for saving me, so I'm going to give you a kiss in a safe place. It means, this kiss means we're going to fuck. I also included some tasteless jokes about how one storyline in the comics where Norman's sad, Gwen sees, and that gives Norman the opportunity to cuckold Peter, which is weird and gross. But I can't remember the jokes, I can't work at them, so I made these jokes because I'm a comic book nerd, and I thought you'd appreciate it. Which is one of the disappointing things about this going so wrong, and me not being willing to read through the fucking script for a third time. So yeah, there's a cutscene where I don't know why it resonates so much with me, but the modelling they did for MJ's face in this cutscene just looks really good. I don't know why. Yeah, you chase Goblin again, he gets to the bridge, you save MJ like you did from a panda earlier. You fight Goblin, he falls over, says sorry to Harry, and then Spidey and MJ make out over his still warm corpse, which is super creepy. The gameplay was flawed. Like, reviews at the time complained about the camera and stuff. And yes, that's terrible. Bouncing off of walls, trying to fix itself, etc., etc. But I had two main issues. One is the combos were unreliable. So Spidey would punch and then stop, and then punch and then stop, and then punch and then stop, instead of just doing the combo. Sometimes he'd stop mid-combo, so if you were doing a punch, jump, then, I don't know, kick or whatever combo, then Spidey would punch, jump, and drop, presumably in front of someone's gun. Because, yes. The other problem I had... Oh, hang on. I have footage of this game from 4 different methods. One was the original Xbox game played on my Xbox 360. The other one was the original game played on the Zemu emulator, because the original game looked crap, but then the Zemu emulator stuttered like... I mean, I don't want to be ableist. I also have footage from the GameCube version on the GameCube, and the GameCube version on Dolphin. When I was doing that, I found that this punch flaw, this incomplete combo flaw, was worse on the Xbox version and the emulator. So it's something to do with that, apparently, I would assume. But this next problem was pretty equal on all 4 versions. And that is, I think the joke I put here was, Spidey was auditioning for the role of the Juggernaut. So you'd be running, you tried to turn him, the camera would move, Peter wouldn't. And then he'd run into a wall, hit his head, look bashful, and probably get murdered. It was incredibly annoying. Other than that, I actually really like the combos when they work. I like the simple web swinging. A little too simple, yes, but it does the job, and it's not half bad. As I was saying about the combos, the animations are good. There's something oddly refreshing about this style of gameplay, and I wonder if it's literally sheer nostalgia, because I grew up with it, and we don't get games like that anymore. Because we've improved, yes, but on occasion it'd be nice to revisit that. In terms of gameplay for Spider-Man, I can't think of a whole lot anymore. There are health tokens and web tokens, which you can pick up to restore both. There's combo tokens you can pick up to learn new combos, which I really like, because at the beginning it would space out the combos quite a bit, allowing you to learn each combo before picking up the new one. Later on, the mooks started to disappear, so you had less practice time. But there are these really nice training extras. The first one teaches you the basics with Bruce Campbell narrating and being... I hate this word, but yes, he's being sassy. But there are extra training modes, such as combat training, where you jump into the ring and fight increasingly difficult waves of enemies. So that's fun. There's zipline training and web swing training with different levels of difficulty, allowing you to quote-unquote master those. Yeah, I should probably also bring up the enhanced combat style mode. So for my gameplay, I used classic combat style because it's what I knew. I didn't want to get bogged down with new features, not knowing what they were. But in hindsight, I really should have done the gameplay with it, because the enhanced combat style makes it so much better. So for example, if you've played the 2000 Spider-Man PS1 games, you'll be largely familiar with the control scheme. Scratch it, I don't remember the original game's controls. Basically, in classic mode, you hold down L and a directional button to do either impact web, which is L and up, web dome, which is a shield, which is L and right, web gloves, which increases damage, L and left, and web yank, which allows you to murder people on rooftops with L and down. Enhanced mode changes it to L and one of the buttons on the right. In the case of Xbox, it's A, X, Y, and B, which honestly feels so much better and gives you so much more control. There is, I think, a few other button changes, such as the zipline, but I didn't practice enough. I didn't get enough time to explore that, so I can't fully expand on this. But if I ever decide to redo this video, and I think at this point there's a very good chance I'm going to do so eventually, I will probably play the entire thing in enhanced mode. I'm also considering, for shits and giggles, doing a sort of challenge run. Because on the Xbox version, there's a cheat code under the mask, which allows you to play in first-person mode. And I think doing an entire playthrough in that would be so much fun. But as I learned while playing it, or testing that code out, if you play in classic mode, it's really hard to web yank enemies. Because of how the camera works, or it's not even the camera, it's how Spidey works. You press back, and he does a 180, which from third person makes perfect sense. But in first person, trying to do a move that relies on pressing back, you just keep getting donkey punched. It's not fun. But in enhanced mode, that wouldn't be an issue. And I think that could be quite fun. This Under the Mask code also helped me to maybe understand the Juggernaut issue I was having. Because you turn the camera with the left stick, which also has Spider-Man running around. So I assume... So you can interact with the camera with the right stick, but you also do with the left. So, because I'm assuming the camera is adjusting to Spidey's position, and while I did try changing the camera from active to passive, I still had the same problem. So, presumably, the reason the Juggernaut thing happens is because I'm trying to turn Spidey while he's running, but instead the camera is nicking the input, causing Spidey to just keep on going forward. And finally in gameplay, there is the best part of the game, which is the Hobgoblin side mission. Not side mission, the Hobgoblin Ultimate Universe campaign, where you basically go through the entire game again, but as the Green Goblin, as Harry Osborn, the Hobgoblin. And I'm not going to get into my complaints about Harry Osborn being Hobgoblin, because that's for another video. But it's just better than Spider-Man. For an extra mode that was made for shits and giggles, it is so much better. You get a variety of attacks, such as super speed, bombs, razor bats, and you get your glider attacks, which just makes things even better. I might actually need to put up the script, just because I need to get this voice actor's name right, because I love him, and as far as I care, I love Yuri Lowenthal, but this guy, let me find him. He is the quintessential He is the quintessential voice of Spidey. Like, the 1994 cartoon, he's great, and he will always be an amazing Spidey to me. Yuri Lowenthal is also great, but this guy, because I'm terrible with names, I'm having to Google it. Not Google it, look for my script. He's been Spider-Man in so many times. He is the Spider-Man. Like, Mark Hamill is for the Green Goblin. Like Mark Hamill is for the Joker. And to me, in particular, he's also the Hobgoblin.
Just what the world needs. Another nut in a costume.
For centuries, the Hobgoblin's been a symbol of irrational fear and terror. I want this face to be the very last thing my enemies see.
And of course, Kevin Conroy is Batman, who, did you know is gay? And can you imagine, or was gay, rest in peace and all that. You know he's gay? And can you imagine a fuss people would make now about having a gay actor playing Batman? I find that really funny. But finally, yes, Josh Keaton. I thought it was Josh Keaton, but again, my memories with names is so bad I had to double check. He, Spider-Man in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, also plays the Hobgoblin in this, which makes it ironic that I think his first Spider-Man role was the Hobgoblin, Harry Osborn, before going on to become known as Spider-Man. I'm getting really tired. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I was on the gameplay, wasn't I? Yes. So, not only is playing as the Hobgoblin really fun already, but it makes up for a bunch of the weaknesses of playing as Spider-Man. Without, I think, any real weaknesses besides your glider overheating, which is admittedly an essential gameplay mechanic, because otherwise it would be OP. But those bosses pissing you off, you have more means to fight them. You have more options at hand. When you're fighting the Green Goblin, who I've nicknamed the Goblin Foe, because it's either that or he is the Great Hobgoblin, and I don't want that. So he's the Goblin foe. When you're in those missions where you're fighting him, it's just dogfighting. It's aerial combat, and it's really fun. And if I had even the slightest bit of skill at technology, and you know I don't, which is why I've been having so much trouble, I would love to make a mod for just like a sort of game, like an indie game where you're playing with these mechanics, because it's too fun not to, for real. And it's just better. Visuals, yeah, it looks like a 2000s game. It's not bad at all, it's just old. I really hate hyper-realistic graphics. I feel like they take up way too many resources that would otherwise make the game better, which is, I hear, the exact problem with Senua's Saga. That's the second game, right? Beautiful game, boring as hell. So, I don't like that. I would much rather have artistic, interesting, stylistic graphics with solid gameplay and story. So I'm perfectly happy with this old 2000s look. It's a bit jank. There are jagged edges here and there. The body language could be better. The faces are stiff. It's a bit jank. That's fine. I don't need that from a game to be good. The music was made by one Michael McQuistion. I remember that name because I love the music so much. And it sounds like it could be the movie soundtrack, but it's not. And it fits the game. It gives the game its own unique feel. Well, sounding like it could be from the movie. It's really well done. There are some really dramatic moments. There is that one song from a Scorpion boss battle, which is great. And of course, there is... I don't know if he did the end credits 2 song. I don't know if he did the end credits 2 song. I don't know who made that. But... ooh, that is a thing. And I will put it on the end of the video to show off, because it's a thing. So gameplay, visuals, not much to say from memory. There is... yeah, let's talk about the cheats, I guess. There are a whole bunch of character changing codes. You don't get your typical many costumes that everyone wants from a Spider-Man game, but you do get codes that allow you to play as a police officer, another police officer, 3 different types of thugs. 3? I think it's 3. A scientist, this weird cyborg creature. I have no idea if they exist outside of some of the trading modes. You get enough points during the game, you can unlock a Peter Parker skin, and there's a Shocker skin. And you can also unlock the Alex Ross design costume. Alex Ross, I believe, is a comic book... I don't know if he's a comic book artist or is an artist who just really likes comic books. But he did a costume design, which I believe went on to influence the Superior Spider-Man's design. I don't think it was made for the game or the movie. I think it was just a thing he did, and people like it because it's really good. In the game, there is also Alex Ross's design for the Green Goblin, which I think is really cool and probably better than the actual movie one, which is immensely iconic, but I never felt it was really the Green Goblin. Unfortunately, you can't have the Alex Ross bonus costumes on at the same time as playing the bonus Hobgoblin mode, allowing you to play as his designers for Goblin, which is really unfortunate because I think that would be really cool, but it is what it is. But regardless, there's a whole bunch of codes to change a whole bunch of things, which is really cool. And then, of course, there's that little controversy, which I've put up on my TikTok, where in the US Greatest Hits re-release of the game, due to parents' complaints, the character-changing codes were removed because the code that allows you to play as Mary Jane in her Jong-Sam outfit, well, basically, those codes just change your physical design. That's it. You still got the same dull Toby dialogue, because he half-assed it for his paycheck.
Who are you? No, wait. Let me guess. The Emerald Elf?
You still have any of the same non-pre-rendered cutscenes, including the final one over Osborn's still warm corpse. So, of course, the kids, little boys, and probably a fair few of the little girls, discovered you could have MJ kissing MJ in the final cutscene. And parents were pissed. Not because of the apparent self-cest, but because of the homosexuality. Because parents are why we can't have things that are good and pure. And if the complaints were about incest, then I would understand. But they weren't. So, fuck that. That code, by the way, is girl next door. So, turn on your bloody machines and put in that code. Just to spite those prudes. I mean, I'm asexual. I get pissed off at that level of prudishness. I guess I will go with to the conclusion here now. Do I regret replaying this game from my childhood? No. It's completely upended my view of the game. In controls, in quality, but in fairness, I'd only ever played like 5 of the missions using the level select to skip between them, and I did them all as a hobgoblin anyway. So, the fact playing the actual game, appending my opinion on it, was to be expected. And even if it wasn't, that's a good thing. I would much rather have a true and accurate opinion of something I love or loved, whether it be a book or a TV show or a video game, rather than just latching onto it for nostalgia and never seeing its flaws. Because that's so dumb. I want to be honest with myself and the world, and I want to know as many true things as possible. So the fact that this game wasn't very good doesn't matter, and I'm happy knowing that it wasn't. I don't expect perfection from anything in this world, which might be why I typically am quite generous with my opinions and things, unless it's storytelling, which I can be extremely rigid on, but that's... You will discover that later. So, I enjoyed the game. I don't hugely want to play it again, but I also want to remake this video in the future, and I'm really tempted by that challenge run. I think that's it. All that's left now is the extras. Something I forgot during the initial recording. One thing that's extremely important to me with these videos is that the entire motivation was to play the game start to finish, which is a weakness of mine, to write this retrospective. I got a whole bunch of reasons for why I want to do stuff like this, including getting better with technology and speaking and stuff like that. The main reason, what I want to do is write fiction. And so this is meant to be, play the game, I look for inspiration, and I'll write a short story, which I'll upload to YouTube. So what have I found in Spider-Man 2002? Well, nothing from a Spider-Man campaign. The Hobgoblin campaign actually did capture my interest. It was something about Harry donning his father's equipment, trying to hunt down the truth and facing off this goblin foe. That triggered something creatively. So what I'm going to be writing is a sort of alternate universe fanfiction based around a Rule 63 version of a world, because heaven knows these movies need some positive female representation. And yeah, basically it'll be that. I'll try and get that uploaded within a few days. I don't know if I'm going to do text-to-speech or try to read it out myself yet, but I'm no good as a narrator, so we'll see. And yeah, that's that. I am terrible with technology, and I could do with some help. So when I was recording from console, I had this big issue with the gamma. I would turn up the gamma in the dark places, and the browns would turn into reds, and I don't know why. This problem didn't seem to apply to the emulators, just for console games. I don't know if it's because they were made pre-HDMI, and the emulators have upgraded them, or what, but any advice would be appreciated. Same with any advice on recording settings, sound settings, and running emulators. So I wanted to play it on Zemu, but it was just ran so poorly. And I'm having the same issue with Spider-Man 2, which I haven't played yet, but I've done a few tests to try and get it working. And finally, any advice on recording sound, so I don't have to deal with another ad-libbed, half-remembered script would be appreciated. And I think that's it. I hope it worked. And if nobody watches this video, that's absolutely fine. I won't watch it myself. And just like I don't know how to begin a video, I don't know how to end one. So, ciao.
Goblin! You aren't getting away from me!
get so tired. I'm Spider-Man.